move Sunday against a team they had beaten twice last season, including once for the AFC Championship. But this time, the Bengals were in a habitat far less friendly than their jungle.
Everybody, let's have some fun with their hands and get out of here.
Boomer's hanging by a thread today. Yeah, he is.
Boomer Esiason and the Bengals offense were indeed hung up in the first two quarters, with their only scoring threat coming on a Jim Breach field goal attempt with no time remaining in the half.
Movement up ahead. There's the kick. It is up by Breach, and it sails up. It is good. The Buffalo man came across the line of scrimmage.
Decline a penalty. We don't want it. Take the points.
It is offside against Buffalo, so the half is over, and the Bengals get a field goal. 26 yards by Breach, and at the end of the first half, it is the Bills 10, the Bengals 3.
Not so fast. A second official ruled that the Bengals were guilty of a false start. Cincinnati's field goal was wiped off the board. And in what league officials would later determine to be the wrong decision, the Bengals were not allowed to kick again. Cincinnati head coach Sam Weish wasn't informed that his team still trailed 10-0 until he emerged from the locker room, and he tried to use the controversial ruling as a rallying cry in the second half.
Get in here tight. Let's go. Come here, Ricky. Now listen. The officials are going to rule that the kick is no good. We're not going to get another shot at it. We think they're dead wrong, but we're not going to have a chance to argue that one in court. You guys have 30 minutes to make them pay for everything that happened in that first half, to regain 3 points that were ripped off from you in the first half, and to kick their ass. If you're a man, you'll do it because you got a better team. Let's go! Everybody right together. Nobody else. Everybody go!
Esiason hands off to Brooks, and he runs through for a first down, I believe, or a fumble on the play, and the Bills get the ball.
It didn't take long for things to get worse for Sam Weish and the Bengals, as James Brooks' fumble on the second play of the half set up the Bills to turn what could have been a close game into a runaway.
Dropping back, looking, he throws, and it is caught by Harmon at the 20, at the 15, at the 10, at the 5, and he is in for the touchdown.
Buffalo was never seriously threatened in the second half, as Jim Kelly's 3 touchdown passes helped the Bills avenge last season's 2 losses in Cincinnati. The 8-4 Bills are once again alone atop the AFC East, while the AFC Central remains a 4-team fight for number 1. Last week in Kansas City, Houston head coach Jerry Glanville was on the warpath. Too bad he wasn't on the field, because perhaps the only thing with more ill will was the Chiefs' defense. Leading the massacre was the diminutive J.C. Pearson, who recorded one of 4 Chiefs sacks and single-handedly outscored the Oilers.
Picked up at the 3, run in, touchdown Kansas City. Albert Lewis may have blocked it. J.C. Pearson recovered the ball. Blocked by Lewis, touchdown Kansas City.
And as the Chiefs' defense was on its way to its first shutout in 8 years, Christian Okoye prolonged the Oilers' nightmarish day. While Okoye's 67 yards enabled him to surpass the 1,000-yard rushing plateau, the Chiefs' offense never leveled off.
Snap, fakes the handoff, drops back to throw, throws in the end zone, wobbly catch. On a back pedal, touchdown in the corner by Jonathan Haid.
Kansas City's 34-0 win was its largest margin of victory in more than 2 decades. Houston's loss, on the other hand, opens the floodgates on a plethora of playoff possibilities in the AFC Central. If a preseason prognosticator had suggested realistic playoff possibilities for either the Dolphins or the Steelers, one would have thought him all wet. But trying to predict NFL winners is like, well, trying to predict the weather. even in the Sunshine State.
Here's the snap. Marino out of the shotgun. Back he goes to throw in the pocket, deep across the middle. Swing! 40, 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown!
Mark Clayton's score gave Miami a 14-0 lead, but that lead quickly dried up. And the more the skies opened, the more Pittsburgh poured it on. The Steelers' deluge had the Dolphins looking like a fish out of water and playing with about as much life.
To give up. Smith fumbles the football. Steelers have the ball. Picked up by Carnell Lake. He laterals it off. And still going for the touchdown is number 49, Dwayne Woodruff.
5 Miami turnovers and 34 unanswered points may have thrown a wet blanket over its hopes for a division title. But for a Pittsburgh team which has been through the ringer this season, the victory may have put the playoffs within their grasp. The Lions' traditional Thanksgiving Day game has a long history, but it was the future possibilities which were most intriguing. Barry Sanders appears headed for certain NFL stardom as he rushed for 145 yards last week, topping 1,000 for the season. The Browns also have a rising star in Eric Metcalf, but on Thursday, number 74, Cleveland tackle Paul Ferrin didn't get the job done against Lions nose tackle Jerry Ball, as Metcalf managed just 19 yards for the anemic Browns attack, which has scored only 2 touchdowns in its last 10 quarters.
Kosar with lots of time, throwing left side for Slaughter. It is intercepted. It is intercepted by Jerry Holmes. He runs back to the 5, to the 4, to the 3, is into the end zone. Now they're going to mark him down 1 yard shy of the end zone.
At times this year, the Browns have appeared capable of running away with the AFC Central. At 7-4-1, however, they remain just a half a game ahead in a division up for grabs.
If going into the 13th week of the season, someone would have told me that a team that was in the Super Bowl last year would have the same record as the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would have sent them to Bellevue Hospital for observation. But as you can see in the standings, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, the team that was in the Super Bowl last year, have identical 6-6 records. Lenny, but that could change this week because all 4 teams in the AFC Central Division play each other, and I don't think any of them should be favored.
No? Give me a break. Houston's got to be favored over the Steelers. The Oilers are near the top both offensively and defensively in the AFC. The Steelers are down at the bottom. Besides that, the last time these two teams met, the Oilers shut them out 27-0.
Hey, but that was in Houston, Lenny, and we all know the Oilers are terrible on the road. They lost 4 out of 5 ball games. They self-destruct when they...
2 touchdown performance would be enough to make him the game's star.
2 tight ends, 1 wide receiver. Pitch goes to Hilliard. He wants to throw. Martin's open. Can he get there? He does! Touchdown!
Martin's second score helped give the Saints a 17-3 second-half lead, but then things got a little fishy. Willie Flipper Anderson scored with just over a minute left to help tie the game. And in overtime, he continued with a performance that would have made any tail-walking porpoise at SeaWorld jealous. Flipper finished with 15 catches for an NFL single-game record 336 yards. And his final grab set up Mike Lansford for the win.
All set. The snap back, ball down. The kick is up by Lansford, and it is good. It is good, and the Rams win it by a score of 20-17. And what a comeback
for a while, it looked like they would drown in the Dome, but in this key intra-division matchup, the Rams rose to the top. going to be any fish stories for the Seahawks to tell in Denver. The Broncos defense made sure of that as it pressured and punished Seattle for 8 sacks and 4 turnovers. While Seattle suffered for an entire 60 minutes, John Elway needed just a half of action to make this AFC West showdown a rout. Hooked up with Vance Johnson 6 times for 154 yards and a pair of scores. And just before intermission, he threw his 4th touchdown, a 9-yarder to Michael Young en route to a 38-0 halftime lead, a 41-14 win, and an AFC Western Division title. He seems to have an aura of invincibility about him, like he's down from Mount Olympus just playing a game with mere mortals. Sundays seemed like the same old story for mighty Don Majkowski as he found Sterling Sharp for a 10-3 second quarter lead, a lead that would last until Minnesota's defense took control.
Majkowski drops to throw on first down, sets up in trouble. Now he scrambles a bit and throws deep. And it is intercepted by Joey Browner at the 42. Browner back to the 35, the 30. Joey Browner 25-20. Down the left sideline, Joey Browner has got it all the way down inside the green.
Joey Browner's theft set up a Herschel Walker score, giving the Vikes the lead. The interception proved the Magic Man could make mistakes, but it also gave him one of man's greatest opportunities, the chance to come back from failure. Trailing by 3 in the 4th, Majkowski the Mortal answered the prayers of his faithful.
Here's Majkowski waiting for the snap. Don goes back in the pocket, looking. Throws it over the middle. It is caught. Shut it. Touchdown. Sterling Sharp.
Sharp's 10th touchdown of the year gave Green Bay its final score, and the Packer defense held on behind the strength of a 15-year veteran cornerback.
Got to make a big play defensively for the Packers. Now looking. They're after him. He throws the ball upfield. David Brown playing it. Intercepted David Brown at the 43-yard line.
Dave Brown's 58th and 59th career interception sealed the win for Green Bay. November was a pretty kind month for the first-place Pack as it beat Chicago, San Francisco, and Minnesota. And if Tim Harris's gang keeps winning in December, it might still be playing in January.
The Pack is back. You know, it's been a long time since we truthfully could say that the Pack is back. That's because there's been a lot of lean years in Green Bay. You know, it's been a long time since they've had a winning season. I'm not talking about a playoff season. I'm just talking about a winning season. That was back in 1978. And when you take a look at the 80s, you can understand things haven't changed, with the exception of 1982. That was a strike season. They've changed coaches. The latest one happened a couple of years ago when this man, Lindy Infante, took over for Forrest Gregg, and the Packers have had some big victories this year over San Francisco, Chicago, and in this game, the latest one, against the mighty Minnesota Vikings. This makes everybody happy in Green Bay and all Packer lovers because they find themselves in first place, the first time that's happened since 1972. Lindy Infante, the man that's done such a great job guiding the Green Bay Packers, has been kind enough to join us on NFL Crosstalk, and he now joins Nick Bonacani.
Expected to reach the heights this season, the Washington Redskins have spent 1989 looking up at the contenders. But last week in the nation's capital, the Redskins decided to stand up and be counted. And then they laid down the law to the Bears.
He looks back to the right side, throws it in the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Gary Clark does his dance.
Gary Clark's dance was just one of many for the Redskins, who sashayed through Chicago for nearly 500 yards. like clockwork, the Bear deficit triggered football's old faithful to blow his stack. There was little Mike Ditka or his assistants could do in the face of the Redskins' offensive explosion, led by Mark Rippon's 4 touchdown passes. 2 to wide receiver Art Monk, who last Sunday caught 9 passes to become the NFL's 4th all-time leading receiver.
There goes Rippon, looking. He's got Monk over on the far side, up in the air, caught, touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Monk's acrobatics helped even the Redskins' record at 6-6 and has Washington marching back up the standings 1 step ahead of the Phoenix Cardinals and new head coach Hank Coleman. Despite the coaching change, it looked like the same old Cardinals as they fell behind the talented but inconsistent Buccaneers. Although Tampa shined on this 16-play, 89-yard drive, Buccaneers' mistakes and turnovers deep in their own territory let Phoenix back into the game and helped the Cardinals take a 13-7 fourth-quarter lead. However, for the second straight week, Vinny Testaverde orchestrated a dramatic late-game drive. This one featuring 2 fourth-down completions to keep the drive alive. Bruce Hill came up with the big catch on 4th and 5 to set up the game winner for Tampa Bay. Mark Carrier's touchdown gave the Bucs a 14-13 win and relegated the Cardinals to the NFC East's 2nd division with the Dallas Cowboys, who hosted the well-armed Philadelphia Eagles on Thanksgiving Day. The Eagles may not have been expecting much of a battle from Dallas, but they were definitely ready for a fight.
Kevin Gogan going at it with Pitts and Jerome Brown. Here we go, right underneath the bench there.
Who do you think goes to the penalty box?
All of the Eagles' extracurricular activity might have had Jimmy Johnson thinking he was back on campus. And while Johnson was telling anyone who would listen that Buddy Ryan had put a bounty on his players' heads, it was Chris Carter who really made the Cowboys pay.
Backs up. He is floating it for Carter, who leaps and comes down with the football for a touchdown. Cunningham fakes. He looks. He goes for Carter, who leaps, comes down. Touchdown! Chris Carter!
Behind Carter, Philadelphia rolled 27-0 and now seems ready to fight it out for the division title. Before the Eagles can soar into first place, they'll have to catch the division-leading New York Giants, who Monday night traveled to scenic San Francisco, where the most breathtaking attraction was once again 49er quarterback Joe Montana.
Montana rolls right, tucks it in, throws to the end zone, Taylor, touchdown!
In a dazzling first-half performance, Montana completed 17 of 19 passes for 3 touchdowns to help San Francisco build a 24-7 lead. A game billed as a primetime matchup between the NFL's 2 best teams looked like a big-time mismatch before Phil Simms and the Giants finally got on track.
Back to throw, Simms again, out on the left flat, complete to Megan, he breaks at the 50, goes to the 45, to the 40, he breaks loose to the 30, to the 20, to the 15, he'll go to the end zone, touchdown Giants!
Dave Meggett's 53-yard third-quarter score helped cut San Francisco's lead to 7 points. New York later tied the game at 24 in the fourth quarter before San Francisco snuffed out any hopes for a Giants comeback victory. Eric Wright's interception set up the game-clinching touchdown for the 49ers, who dealt New York what could be a critical loss, as the first-place Giants are now just a game up on the Eagles in a heated NFC East race. Coming up on Inside the NFL, Inside Info looks into the dismal rushing performance of Herschel Walker, a Where Are They Now story on Calvin Hill, who has made a career in baseball. And on NFL Forum, Kansas City's Nick Lowry puts his best foot forward in defense of the lonely kicker. Sometimes one's behavior is very predictable. If you're merely seeking relief from the heat, there's nothing wrong with doing the expected. But if you're searching for the cure to an ailing attack, you'll be left on the outside looking in when your actions are easily foreseen by others. When number 2 Doug Flutie lined up at running back, did anyone really expect him to run the ball? Well, the Raiders were not fooled for a moment. The Patriots found greater success with the conventional 5-step drop and fly pattern. With their running attack held to just 30 yards, the Patriots relied on passing to stay in the game. But even Steve Grogan's 3 touchdown strikes were not enough to overcome a Raider team fighting for a wild card spot. LA's victory kept its playoff hopes alive at a point in the year when postseason dreams live only week to week. It is also at the twilight of a season when some of the league's worst are destined to meet, and usually it's only a matter of time until one team hand delivers the victory to the other.
Straight back to passes. Miller rolling out to the left, being rushed hard. He throws it, intercepted, a backhanded pass, intercepted by Scott Messerow.
The Falcons have just handed something to the Jets on a golden platter. O'Brien back to throw, looking, throws to the left. Touchdown, a great stumbling catch by Al Toon. When the Jets got these receivers off the injured list, man, are they a different club.
The Colts are also a different team when all of their stallions are healthy. And the most talented thoroughbred of them all was raring to go. In past years, facing San Diego had been child's play for Dickerson, and he averaged 140 yards per game against them. But last Sunday, Eric learned the Chargers' defense had grown up. With Indianapolis continually trying to send Dickerson up the middle to no avail, and the Chargers attempting to block 250-pound linebackers with 170-pound running backs, the game featured little scoring and even less excitement. The crowd came alive, for down on the field, some of the best plays of the day were taking place. The bigger Colts learned from their neophytes and tried a little razzle-dazzle of their own. Trailing 6-3 in the final minutes, Indianapolis drove 87 yards for the winning score.
Back to throw is Trudeau, sets up and looks, throws over the middle, caught by Billy Brooks! 10-5, touchdown Billy Brooks! Billy scores on a 25-yard pass!
At 6-6, the Colts still harbor slight playoff aspirations, while the 4-8 Chargers are on the outside looking in at the playoff race.